Hello everyone, welcome to Gyan Mimamsa. In today's video, we will start the new education policy of India 2020. In 2020 UPSC mains also, the question regarding new education policy was asked, and it is very important. In our previous videos, we have learned about the budget, and in our upcoming videos, we will be discussing the various schemes of Government of India, various ministries, and also the current affairs regarding the science center. So let's start with today's video. Before this, you can subscribe the channel, and if you have any query, you can post in the comment box or email me at info@gyanmimamsa.com. So this is our email ID, and other links to contact me I'll be sharing in the description box. So let's start today's video, New Education Policy 2020. So first time we have talked about making India a global knowledge superpower. So the aim of New Education Policy 2020 is to make India a global knowledge superpower. Before this, we have always talked about making India first a military superpower, then sometimes economic superpower. But this is about the making India a new knowledge superpower. You all know that India is having a lot of good demographic dividend, but due to improper knowledge or lack of knowledge, that this demographic dividend sometimes turn into demographic burden. How? Various survey reports says that Indians are not employable. They are not functional literate. The education system is old. The education policies previous, they were bought in 1968 and 1986. If we look into it, there has not been much development in education sector in past 25 years. The same policy has been implemented for long time, and due to evolving needs, there is a need to change in the policy, and that's how we can become a knowledge superpower. And under this education policy, the Ministry of Human Resource Development has been renamed as Ministry of Education. Okay, so next we will be studying about the schemes of Ministry of Education. Now, what are the different points in this policy? First is regarding the school education. Okay, so most important part of any education policy, school education, that is from pre-nursery or from preschooling till 12th class. So what is the first main point in this policy is that universalization of education from preschool to secondary level. Universalization, that means 100% of gross enrollment ratio by 2030. So in this point, there are three major points to remember. Preschool to secondary education universalization, number one. 100% gross enrollment ratio, number two, till 2030. Now, what is gross enrollment ratio, GER? This is the number of students who are actually enrolled in formal schooling divided by number of the students who are in this age of school going. Okay, so this is about the gross enrollment ratio. So according to this policy, by 2030, 100% of the students who are in this age range of school going should be enrolled in education irrespective of their age. For example, if you think that according to this policy, 18-year-old child should be in 12th class, but even if he is enrolled in 6th class, then he or she will be counted as enrolled and in the 100% of gross enrollment ratio. So that is the major objective of this policy. Second objective is to teach at least till 5th grade in either the mother tongue or regional language. Okay, so either in the mother tongue or in regional language till 5th grade, and that is at least, even beyond that, because when a child is very young, like say in the age of like 6, 7 or 8 years, he or she may not be able to understand other language properly, and if given the proper instructions in his or her own language, then they may be able to understand it better. So this is one thing. Second is the curriculum structure has been restructured from for 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Okay, for the age group of 3 to 8, 8 to 11, 11 to 14, 14 to 18. That means there is total of 15 years of schooling, 3 years of preschooling or Anganwadi plus 12 years of proper schooling, 3 plus 12 curriculum. From 3 to 8, there would be 3 years of preschooling plus first and second, third to fifth, 6 to 8, and then 9 to 12. So this would be, primary and pre-primary, and then pre-primary, then primary, then middle, and then secondary and senior secondary. So this is the proper pattern of this education policy for school education. And then vocational education to start from class 6. Even during the British time, in the education policy, they recommended by Radhakrishnan Committee that the vocational education should start from class 6 with internship, because when a child is young enough and they don't want to go into formal education or graduate in any formal education, then they can take some vocational education and start their self-employment early or some kind of employment, so the demographic dividend can be harnessed. And then 12 years of schooling with 3 years of Anganwadi and preschooling, as we have talked here. And finally, emphasis on foundational literacy and numeracy rather than rote learning. Okay, rote learning se zyada they will be emphasizing on foundational literacy and numeracy. So that is the basis of any education. Like till 5th class, if they emphasize more on this literacy, foundational literacy and numeracy rather than rote learning, then the abilities of the student can be explored. Next is for higher education. What has been done? Gross enrollment ratio, which is currently 26.3%, to be raised till 50% by 2035. If you remember, in the school education, it was 100% till 2030. Now in higher education, that is post 12th, the target is to make gross enrollment ratio 50% by 2035. Next is the undergraduate education will be flexible, like 3 years or 4 years graduation program and with multiple exit. Like if you want to exit at 2 years, then you may be given a diploma. If you want to exit as a 1 year, you will be given a certificate, 3 years degree, 4 years degree. Okay, so there are various exit points would be there, so that the student, according to their comfort, they can choose their certificate, diploma or degree courses. Okay, then MPhil courses will be discontinued. So this has been always in news or controversy, that MPhil, is it important, is it good enough? Because there is graduation, then post graduation, then PhD courses. Okay, so MPhil, there is MPhil in a few courses only, not all technical courses MPhil is not available. So that's why its relevance was loosening, okay, lessening from with time, and this education policy decides to discontinue it. Then undergraduate, postgraduate and PhD level will be now interdisciplinary. Now you can take history with commerce with chemistry if you want. Okay, earlier there is, for example, BA, BSc or BCom. Okay, so in BA you cannot take chemistry or commerce subjects. Similarly, like this, so this will be interdisciplinary. And also you have done BA, then you can do your post graduation in commerce according to your interest. Earlier it was very bound, and for this there would be a multidisciplinary education and research in universities at par with IITs and IIMs. Okay, so because the courses would be multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, so there needs to be one research institute. So there would be this MERU, that is multidisciplinary education and research universities. And then this is an important point, Higher Education Commission of India. Let's talk about Higher Education Commission of India. It would be a single umbrella body for the entire higher education, excluding medical and legal education. Okay, so UGC, AICTE, etc. will be merged under this Higher Education Commission of India. There would be 4 vertical bodies. This would be Higher Education Commission of India, and under this there would be 4 bodies for different works. Okay, for example, first is National Higher Education Regulatory Council. The word itself tells the regulation. They will regulate the recognition of the colleges and everything. Next is General Education Council for standard setting. They will be setting up the standards for colleges, curriculum, syllabus, etc. Then Higher Education Grants Council for funding, definitely, as the name suggests, they will be funding the institutions. And then National Accreditation Council for accreditation. So whichever institute is working good, they will be given some A+, A rating. So this will be based on the working of the institution, depending upon the various parameters. So this will help standardize education and then regulate it, and then the funding problem may be solved, and then National Accreditation Council for accreditation. Then a few other changes: National Education Technology Forum. So there should always be a discussion forum. Okay, so this would be a platform where free exchange of ideas would be there from different wake of life. People from different wake of life, they can give their ideas, and this would be a discussion platform for betterment of the education. Then National Assessment Center, PARAK. Okay, PARAK, as the name suggests in Hindi, PARAK means to assess, for assessment of students. There would be this center. There are only formal exams. Okay, for the outcome based learning, as you know, it has been debated a lot that there should be some outcome based learning. So PARAK would be there for assessment of students. This would be the National Assessment Center. And foreign universities to set up campuses in India. Again, this is a welcome step, but there are a lot of controversies surrounding this. I will give you a few examples and we can discuss it in a separate video. Under this, you know, the main thing is that okay, people will be able to access the foreign best practices. Okay, but there will be the problem of haves and have-nots, because you know foreign institutes won't open in for welfare purpose, right? They would be opening in India for you know their capitalist purposes, or for you know earning money. So foreign universities, if they set campuses, then only a few handful of people would be able to get the education. So this would again bring the debate of haves and have-nots. So we can take this in another video sometime. And this is a very good step: Gender Inclusion Fund and special education zones for disadvantaged groups and regions. Okay. Then National Institute for Pali, Persian, Prakrit, and Indian Institute of Translation and Interpretation for language. And then public investment. This is again a very good step. Currently, the public investment in is 4.6% of GDP in the education, and it needs to be reached to 6%. This has been, you know, again recommended by a lot of committees since independence. Even before independence, Radhakrishnan Committee said this, but now they have taken it seriously. So this was all about the new education policy 2020. In this, we talked about what? First one is the school education, then higher education, then Higher Education Commission of India, and then the other changes. And you can revise it. And if you have any query, then post in the comment box. Thank you. All the best.